Hello everyone, it's George Schlacegg.
The one and only.
In my last video, I asked you to give me some feedback on what it is you like watching on my channel, what makes you come back. And I thank you all for the responses. They were awesome. Very encouraging, by the way. There was one that kind of stuck out in my mind. Some of you wouldn't mind seeing some of my projects, remodeling things. I told you about being self-employed, and well, what I do is handyman work. Mostly I do home repairs. Now there's a reason why I don't show this on camera. It's because, number one, customers pay me for doing the job, for my time. I'm not very good at multitasking, so there's a problem right there. If I have to concentrate on getting the best camera angle and doing a talk about it, which could be done by voiceover, of course, but my focus would not be on the job, and I don't think that would be fair to the customer. My operation isn't big enough to just have certain jobs where I would agree on a lower rate or something like that to show some project from beginning to end. This is also not the kind of channel I ever had in mind when I started this. However, the comment gave me an idea. I am self-employed and I totally love this arrangement. That's because it gives me, in my view, aside from being independently wealthy, the most freedom I can imagine. So there are a few things to talk about when it comes to self-employment, and why not share some of that? Well, there are some upsides and there are some downsides. Of course, the upsides are that I basically make my own schedule. I have to work around clients' schedules, of course, but oftentimes I just tell them within a certain time frame, which usually is regular business hours, unless there's something else that I have planned and I need the time. Barbara and I have an arrangement where we don't book anything on Fridays unless it's absolutely necessary, and then weekends are a no-no. So see, there's already a huge time frame that gives us flexibility and freedom to do things. Another advantage for someone like me in a shop setting where I used to work as a mechanic, going to the same place day after day, over and over, it wasn't for me. I get very depressed. So with being self-employed, it's a totally different ball game. I go to different places all the time, and that's exciting. I meet different people all the time. Of course, that's kind of at the core of why I love what I do. You probably won't get rich working independently, self-employed. However, the money isn't too bad. You have to do some exercise setting your rate. There are competitors out there that work for very low wages, and I cannot compete with them. I have insurances to pay, I have a business license. There are a whole bunch of things that need to be in place for credibility. I also have to collect GST. That's in the province of Alberta, thankfully, the only additional tax. However, overall, I can set my rate and the money is okay. I probably do better than working 40 hours a week at the same place every day, doing my own thing, billing clients my hourly rate plus whatever materials I buy. I don't even mark them up. I make my money on the labor. And I never had any illusions of getting rich from being self-employed. That's as simple as it is. So basically, I like not having to report to any boss, except my clients, and I like the total independence that I enjoy. What are the downsides? Well, number one, when you first get started, there's no work. You have to create it for yourself. You have to approach pretty much anybody who might need something done, and you have to build your credibility. For myself, I was kind of lucky because I was in a job that had very similar conditions, and I was maintaining apartments for a medium-sized rental company. So a lot of people knew me, and I got used to going into people's places doing repair work for them. I got paid by my company, like pretty much same paycheck all the time, because it was 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. But then at some point I got laid off, and then the opportunities started popping up. Of course, they were here and there, little bit. Definitely not enough for me to build a business on. But you'd be surprised. The key element for me, though, to really build a business was a little nest egg. I could not have done this without any financial backing. So I don't like the idea of borrowing money, because it's slavery. You make yourself dependent on the bank, and if you don't pay them back, well, then your business is basically shot. By financing this on your own for a little while, like having something in the bank just to pay your bills while nobody wants your services, it can make the difference between success and failure. And in that case, success is nothing more than just being able to meet your financial obligations month after month. Believe me, in the beginning, there were times when it looked like this wasn't going to last long term. I would have to go back, find a job, and go to work for somebody else. So I started printing business cards. I started posting ads on sites like Kijiji. And I pretty much took just about any job that would come my way. For a while, you'll have to do that. But over time, you get through this. As long as you do your work and you do it well enough, you get some clients that remember you. They'll pass on your name. Sometimes they'll leave a review, so it's a good thing to have a website or something, some presence on the internet where people can do that. Like Google is perfect. Unfortunately, I'm talking about the downsides. There will also be people who call you up. They want a big estimate done on some kind of job that they have at their house or at one of their rental properties, whatever it may be. And you may very well believe that they are serious about hiring you, but then they never get back to you. Or they'll get back to you and they rip apart your quote, telling you that, well, if it's so much by the hour, how come it's so much when you do this job? Will it take you this long? Will it take you that long? And they'll basically diss you, and you get nothing. Some of them want a nice detailed quote only for their insurance company so they can pocket some money, and then they do the job themselves. And all they did was use you. If you're not careful, they'll use you. Free estimate. Big sucker right here. And yeah, they get that, but you get nothing out of it. Especially today with gas prices where they are, that is one of the things that can bankrupt you in no time if you're not careful. Another downside is that when you get home after work, you're never really done. Most of the time today, people pay me by e-transfer, and the invoice is also emailed. So I have to sit down, do my invoices, email them to the customer, and then the waiting game starts. Some customers will pay almost right away. Other customers let you wait for a week. Some customers will not pay you for a month. I've had cases like this, and some of them are actually good customers. They just have the habit of paying their bills at a certain time on a certain day, and if you're not close to that date, you just wait for your money. But the key is to know what kind of customers you got. There's a skill that goes aside from all the other skills that you have, and that is to know your customers. Can you trust them? Can you meet a person for the first time and get a very clear impression of whether they're credible or not? I won't say that I'm always right, but it's a skill I developed over time, and most of the time it works out good. Having said that, I think 95% of all people are okay. They will pay their bills. I've had a few bad apples. They are very rare, but you have to watch out for them. Another downside is that you still get paid by the hour. At least in my field, I do. So if you're not present, if you're not actually physically working for somebody, and that somebody will always kind of look over your shoulder, making sure that your time goes 100% into the job they're paying for, well, you can only get paid for so many hours in the day. And I'll be honest with you, it's for me even rare that I actually get paid for 8 hours in a day. Usually it's more like 5, 6, 7, but it gets me by. Well, as you can see, there are upsides and downsides to being self-employed. Some people would tell you that being self-employed is one of the lower levels of entrepreneurship. But think about it. Once you start hiring people, you have more expenses. You have to pay the workers' compensation board. You have to have a payroll department or some kind of accountant all the time working for you to figure out payroll deductions, things like that. Being on my own self-employed, all I need is a business license, and for the GST I just collect an extra 5%, and at the end of the year my accountant does it for me. It's pretty simple. Anyways, this video is getting long. I just wanted to tell you that I really appreciate your feedback. And I would like to make some more videos, more structured than this one, telling you more about being self-employed, what I like about it, why I like it, how I got started, what I could recommend, what I don't recommend. The things that I done in the beginning were, I was totally wrong. You have to learn the hard way sometimes, but I'm sure there are a lot of mistakes that I made that you could avoid if you wanted to go the same route. And overall, I can tell you that it was definitely worth it. Being self-employed, in my opinion, gives you a lot of freedom. I never had any plans for getting filthy rich. In my opinion, it's worth a lot more to live on less and make the most of it. If you can relate to that, well, I got more stuff coming. So you might want to subscribe right now, give this video a thumbs up, and I thank you.